Hello and welcome to SweetSpotDFS. This is a lineup construction video for the 2020 Honda Classic. Before we get into the video, I want to remind you that you can watch this video in a faster speed. There is a function, if you are on desktop, drag your mouse over my face or anywhere on the screen. There's going to be a gear icon somewhere down here. Go ahead, click that. Find the speed you're comfortable watching it at. I like 1.5, but it's up to you. If you're on mobile, primarily Android, if you go in the top right corner, you're going to see three dots that make a vertical line. I don't know what it looks like on Apple, but on Android, you're going to see it there. Click that, you'll find playback speed. You can do the same thing there. I'll also have timestamps in the description so you can get to whatever part of the video you want to listen to. But for this video, or actually I shouldn't say for this video, here's my player pool. This is what I'm looking for in golfers to construct my teams with. Shots gained approach plus birdie or better. No surprise there. I'm sure if you've watched any other video in the industry, they're going to say approach matters. And it does. It actually does this week. I want some course history. I want decent Bermuda averages for golfers. It doesn't, I should say this. I'm going to lean more towards good Bermuda, but it doesn't have to be good. And I'll show you why. And then the 4 and 5 are my bucket scores. So I'm looking for 1 to 4 last year ones, 1 to 3 last year twos, and I will describe what those are. But I am not going to do how I have in the past where I explain it like within full detail. If you want full detail of the bucket system, you can see some of my earlier videos. I explain them in all of the lineup construction videos, not including this one, but you'll see them in the preview videos at the beginning of the year as well. So just want to throw that out there because I spend way too much time explaining the same things I do usually like on the preview videos and stuff like that. So I want to make this one a little bit faster, then we can go in and construct some lineups. Let's go ahead and throw up the spreadsheet. So here we go. I create this page all the time, but I always forget to actually show you guys it. What this is, I go ahead and take the top 10 golfers for each stat category that I keep track of. You can see what they all are over here. Most of you guys are going to know what this means. Birdie or better, proximity, greens and reg, all the shots gained metrics, 2020 Bermuda stats, overall Bermuda stats, and then the percentage they finish inside the top 10. So these are your top 10 golfers in that category. And then what I do is I basically do a count if function, find all the golfers inside the top 10 for those corresponding categories, and then I add them all up. So you can see Jim Furyk is at the top, followed by Tommy Fleetwood. One thing I do want to mention is we won't have some swing stats for some of these golfers because they haven't played enough events on the PGA to actually garner any of their stat keeping capabilities, whatever. So yeah, you see zeros for swing stats. We know Brooks and Justin Rose, phenomenal golfers. So I'm sure if they did have stats, they'd probably have like 3, somewhere between 3 and 4. So this would turn from like 5 up to 6. So like you would see, they probably fall somewhere up here. They'd be, top of the list. So keep that in mind when you look at this. But you can pause the video, find some golfers here that you might like, and choose them. But we're not going to spend any more time on that. I'm going to go right into the 2019 DK page. I told you I was looking for shots gained approach as well as birdie or better. And I'll do this. I'm going to go ahead and sort it by approach right away. What you see, now this is the PGA rank heading into the tournament. This isn't at the field, but I have sorted it so you can see who's at the top of the field. These are your top 20 golfers because of how much I have it zoomed in. Here are 20 golfers. You can see a lot of them finished inside the top 20, shown by the green color here. A lot of missed cuts as well. And your top guy, Justin Thomas, and actually your top 2 guys, really, not your top 2, but these guys, significant price. Even Emiliano Grillo. I want you to notice this because there is going to be some guys with good approach stats that are just not going to play well here. And this golf course is difficult, so it is going to be tough for everyone, especially if the wind blows, which actually reminds me, let's go ahead and look at what the wind is going to look like. I have it Thursday at 7 a.m. when these golfers are going to be going out. Rule of thumb is the wind gets to 12 miles an hour or over. That's when it kind of makes a big impact for the golf ball in the air. So we want to keep that in mind. As you can tell right away, 12 miles an hour and over. That goes all the way until 3 p.m. Which means most of the golfers are going to see that type of wind. It gets really tough around 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. The afternoon tee times, if we went back to the spreadsheet here and look at just the tee times here, if I went and scrolled down to see when the afternoon wave starts, it starts at 11:35. And if we go back to the weather, we look 11 o'clock, that's when it's at its peak, and then it'll start to die down a little bit. What I'll say this, afternoon golfers are going to be hitting the driving range in that wind. So they're going to be preparing for the wind. They're going to have a better start at dealing with the wind than the golfers who are on the course already. Although 13 to 16 probably not going to be that big of a deal, but the gusts are going to be definitely higher. And then when these guys finish up, it's going to be, around this time. So, I mean, they're all going to face around the same mile per hour, like average, but still, I favor the afternoon golfers, like the PM AM stack over the AM PM stack, mainly because also in the morning, going all the way up to here, wind is pretty docile. It is also in the afternoon, but it's just slightly above what it's going to look like in the morning, just slightly. So yeah, I think it's worth consideration. Did I look at that wrong? I think I did. Yeah, I don't know what I was looking. I guess the afternoon kind of quiets down a little as well, but it's just not as difficult as the Thursday morning will be. And actually, Thursday all day, who knows? I still am gonna stick to the PM AM stack, honestly. But yeah, that's weather. I wanted to show that really quickly, and then because of approach, I got onto that because of approach, because you want good approach golfers. But the wind will make this golf course difficult, and there are 15 holes that have water out of 18. The wind's going to put some of those golf balls in the water. And someone who has a good approach still is going to do pretty terrible, but I think for the majority of it, good approach stats net you good results. So I guess keep that in mind. Do with it as you will. I'm going to go ahead and sort by approach. Again, these are your PGA ranks heading into the tournament, but we are in ascending order, so this is your best in the field down to your bottom. And you're going to see many more golfers inside the top 10 than you did with approach. But I will say, okay, so we have these golfers. Let's mix them up with Bermuda. Look at their Bermuda stats. Some of these birdie or better golfers don't have very good Bermuda stats. And I wouldn't say their approach is all that great. Some of these guys just not good at all. But if you were to mix, birdie or better, which is what it's sorted by now, with approach and Bermuda, and you got some kind of equation through that, I think it's going to be good. Because if it's not, if it's not good at Bermuda, you look at approach, pretty decent with birdie or better. Okay. Same thing applies the opposite way. Good Bermuda average, poor approach. I mean, to me, you see many more instances of success with birdie or better, especially if we scroll down just a little bit more to get to Keith Mitchell and Chesson Hadley. So basically what I did is I just looked from Chesson Hadley on up, which includes the winner, and we have 34 golfers. Your top 34 in birdie or better, you can construct a lineup to make a winning lineup, to make a lot of money. I'm going to be looking at that this year. I don't have to go through this. You're not going to actually see what the total is going to be if I were to find all these golfers. We do need first place, so 67. Now I have $10,000 left over. I guess I could do something like this. So that's 48,100 for those golfers. So that's a fourth, a seventh, a ninth, a fourth, a second, and a first. That's what you want. And that's all your birdie or better golfers plus a little bit of Bermuda. And we got some that, don't have the greatest Bermuda, but for the most part, if we went by Bermuda, we're going to find, and birdie or better and approach, we're going to find a good nuclei of golfers to choose from or to put in our lineup. Okay, let's go over something really quickly. I just want you to scan this as fast as I'm doing it. If you want to look at this stuff a little bit longer, go ahead and pause the video whenever I get through it, but I'm just going to try to brush through it quickly. Pay attention to all the recent form. We did this in the preview. You're going to see some poor recent form year in, year out. I would say target those golfers. Again, we're seeing 2 to 3 light reds. We see a dark red in there. That's a miscut or a withdraw like type average. But you can see recent form. There's going to be some bad golfers coming into this with the recent form. And there's actually a good, I heard this, I can't remember where I heard it, but who was talking about? Basically, this is the first tournament of the Florida Swing. This is the first tournament on Bermuda since the Sony Open. And it's a different, I wouldn't say it's a different type of Bermuda, but yeah, it's probably the same climate. But it's been a while. The recent form does not have, I guess it does have Sony Open. So it does go back to the Sony Open, but basically 6 weeks have been played where they've basically either been on ryegrass, POA, and POA being the big one. That's difficult. You're putting on POA and then you go to a grainy Bermuda. It's going to be a relief for some golfers. It's going to be difficult for other golfers. But I mean, I've heard like Bermuda's easy to putt on. I don't think so. I am used to putting on bent grass and ryegrass. To me, that type of grass is super easy to putt on. But I've heard Bermuda golfers say, I hate putting on bent grass. You got to read the grain. I never thought you did. But that's also what I hear about Bermuda. It's like if it's growing into you, you have to take, you got to add a little bit more break than you would typically have. If it's growing down from you, you take a little break off. I'm sorry, how many cuts of grass am I going to go across where I have to put that into consideration? Like, to me, that's more, I rather look at a hole and figure out the topography of it and go, okay, I see the break, and hit the break or hit the apex of that break, have the ball fall into the hole. That's what bent grass and ryegrass do for me. And that sometimes POA does that as well. It's just that POA has bumpier surfaces. So you have to either choose to play less break with more speed, or just try to play Plinko the correct way, But either way, the reason I brought it up is I think why recent form, like poor recent form coming into this tournament is not a big deal is because some of these golfers are Bermuda specialists or they just like playing Bermuda golf courses. Maybe they're heating up, who knows? But I think it's more or less to do with going to Bermuda. Some of these guys could be Florida guys. I don't know. I know Ryan is a Texas guy. I don't know where Keith Mitchell grew up. BJ, obviously, he's an Islander, but I don't know exactly where he grew up. It doesn't matter. Either way, I think finding golfers that have terrible recent form and good Bermuda grass, probably the way to go, honestly. So I did want to highlight that, and it was a little bit longer than I should have, but there you go. Now let's go ahead and talk about the bucket system, because that's what I do in all these videos is I use the bucket system to create lineups. You're going to see a score here on the DK page, highlighted like our column N is LYB, that stands for last year bucket. LYB stands for last week bucket, and there's going to be a score. If I were to open up these two columns here, basically what you're going to see is that last year one, if we highlight all the last year ones, you can tell these are all golfers that did not play last year at this tournament. Last week, if we were to highlight all the ones, I'm just going to highlight those just because they're right there. Those are golfers that did not play last week. So keep that in mind, because when I go over this, I don't want you guys to be lost. And also, I talk about this in all of my videos. If you want to find a more in-depth explanation of it, find some of my preview videos from the beginning of the year, like Sony Open, Waste Management Open, that kind of thing. Or you can hear it in my other lineup construction videos, not including last year. Or not last year, but last week. So not the WGC Mexico, but Genesis Invitational, you'd see it. AT&T Pebble Beach, you'd probably hear it there as well. So if you want more of an explanation, go there. But basically, it's top 5 finishing positions for a tournament, top 10 finishing positions for a tournament. That's what these years represent. Or these numbers are the years. So this is 2019. In 2019, the top 10, inside the top 10, you had these many golfers. You had 11 golfers. And then their last year finishing position are represented by these ranges. So there was one golfer that finished 1 to 20. And so I put a 1 there. And I do that for every single year. You know, I count how many times they fell within these ranges. And then I do a sum, which is over here. And my bucket scores are based off this top 10 matrix or table, not the top 5. So then with these numbers, I'll put a ranking next to them. And that ranking then determines, or then I put those rankings next to the golfer. So that's what it is in a nutshell. I go one step further. I go another layer deeper, and I go into the bucket combinations and try to find, you know, can I find some kind of edge where I see a certain combination more than I see another one. And I'm just highlighting the 1-1s right now because I always start with the 1-1s and try to figure out how often a 1-1 has finished inside the top 10. How many years has it happened? You can see it's happened 5 out of 6 years. And if you count all of them, I think that ends up being 9. It's happened 9 times. Or 11 times, sorry. So then I add all of that information down here. So I go through all of these all the different bucket combinations. Obviously, there's 6 last year. There's 6 last year ranges. There's 6 last week ranges. So all in all, there are 6 times 5. There are 30 different types of combinations. Or 6 times 6, 36 types of combinations. So yeah, I go and I count. I see how many years it's happened. So here are your counts on the left side. Inside here, this reads 5 out of 6 years, 3 out of 6 years, 4 out of 6 years. So you can see it's happened 7 times, but it's only happened 4 out of the last 6 years. And then this gives me a percentage. So 5 divided by 6, that's 83%. 3 divided by 6, that's obviously half, so that's 50%. 4 out of 6, 66%. So that gets me a percentage, and then I grab that percentage and I toss it over here as well. So you can see it's more of a confidence score. How often has this happened over the last 6 years or since I've started doing this? And then we can go, all right, well, I really like Tommy Fleetwood then. 66% of the time, this bucket combination has finished inside the top 10. I like that. He fits that bucket combination. He's one of the best golfers in the field. That gives me confidence to play him. As opposed to like Byung-Hun An, who's at 0%. That bucket combination has not done well here. He is a golfer that could, you know, break the mold. So then I go, when I create lineups, you know, obviously this is going back the last 6 years, you know, 2019 to 2014. I do keep stats to 2013, but there are no last year stats for 2013. If I did that, then it would go back to 2012, if you understand. But over the last 6 years, you know, 0 times has a 6-4. What if it happens this year? Well, then I would change that stat from 0 to 6 to 1 to 7. And that 1 to 7 is now a percentage. It's a different percentage. That ends up being 14%. So if I actually liked this range or this bucket combination, I would play it 14% of my lineups. I create 50 for this video. So out of 50, 14% would be 7. I would put 7 lineups with that bucket combination, and I would look at that player pool for that bucket combination. So let's go ahead and do that. So 6 out of 4, or 6-4, how many golfers are in there? There are only 2, and that's Byung-Hun An and Patrick Rogers. I think out of the 2 of them, I can play them in 7 lineups fine. I could play 4 lineups with Byung-Hun An and 3 lineups with Patrick Rogers and feel totally comfortable with that out of 50. I know some people are just dead set on playing Byung-Hun An, but you also don't see the bucket combination. And why do I use the bucket combination? I'm a competitive golfer myself. And really, your most recent memories play a huge factor into your golf game. What did you do last year? What did you do last week? So at this tournament last year, I was in the lead, Byung Hanan. I was in the lead Saturday. Then I did this. Now, does that give me a negative memory? Does it give me a positive memory? Can I work off of it or whatever? I was telling a person reached out to me, and thank you, Johnny, for reaching out to me. I told him it's a little bit of a psychological experiment also, because this 6 represents his last year finishing position of 36, between 20 and 40. Well, 20 to 40 is actually a good range to finish in, especially when you're, I think last year was $7,400. You know, $7,400 golfer that finishes inside the top 40, not bad, right? I think so. But how he did it might not be a good way. And same with Patrick Rogers. Maybe he was 60th and he moved up to 30th. Maybe he's the guy that you want to play because he has good memories from Sunday, as Byung Hanan might have bad memories. But of course, this is all hearsay. This is all speculation, which is not how any of the DFS industry likes to determine which golfer they want to be on. But it's a good way to think about. I think it's a good way to think about it. It's a good track record. I'm showing you the last 6 years, you know, that bucket combination. And we can go look to see what the other golfers that fit under that bucket combination, who they were and what kind of golfer they were. And determine, you know, is this somebody that we feel confident playing? I mean, maybe not. I'm not going to go that far in depth for this video because I don't want it to be too long. But anyways, that's why I like to use the bucket combinations, because again, it's the most recent memory, first of all, of how well you've done at this tournament and how well your game is at. If you listen to any golfer talk about a tournament, they're talking about some kind of memory. And some of them are like, you know, I'm coming into this tournament with good form. I'm feeling good about my golf swing. That's a tell also. Of course, we can't hear that from everyone. We can see their results, and that's why I like to use finishing positions. So that's the gist of why I'm doing it. Okay, so in the 2019 DK page, we talked about birdie or better approach and Bermuda stats. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here. I have all of these stats, and I'm just adding more and more stats as we go through this year, week in, week out. First of all, I guess we might as well just talk about the golfers that don't have stats because it's relevant. We do want to talk about them. You have Brooks Koepka at the top. We don't have any stats for him. The PGA does not have any recorded stats for him because he hasn't really been playing all that often on the PGA for this year. So we have no recordable stats for him. Same applies for Justin Rose, Eric Van Rooyen, Ian Poulter, Charles Schwartzel, Lee Westwood. And really, I'm not going to talk about the rest of the guys because I don't think they're that relevant. Tom Lewis missed the cut at the Puerto Rico Open. He's the 57th ranked golfer in the world. I don't know what to do with that because I would have thought he would have done well at the Puerto Rico Open being the 52nd. I think it was 52nd ranked golfer in the world last week. So he lost 5 points. I really don't know what to make of it. I don't think he's relevant. I'm not going to play any of him. I don't have any Bermuda stats for him. I have nothing. But yes, I will be playing quite a bit of these golfers here. So please take that into consideration. Do not leave these guys out as I talk about the rest of this here. But if you saw what I did, I sorted by birdie or better percentage. I'm going to scroll down so you guys can see in column L over here. I have this from the stats, you know, here, let me scroll. Actually, I'll keep it right here. But if we come across, you can see Bronson Burgoon, 25.69% birdie or better average. He's the number 1 ranked birdie or better guy in the field. That is going to be designated by 1. And you can see top to bottom, I have numbered it all the way to 55. 55 isn't even a number that I care about. I showed you on the 2019 DK page, it was 35 is what I'm looking at. But I'm going to consider some of these golfers down here, primarily because Tommy Fleetwood is down here. He is a golfer I like, but he doesn't fit in inside this top 35 range of golfers. And maybe I create a pool this way. Maybe that's an easy way to do this. But I think every year is a little bit different. It might not be the top 35. It could be the top 40. It could be the top 45. It could be the top 50. But I will try to be making lineups based off of this number. So again, if you want, go ahead, pause this video whenever, write down some of these names that you like, and use them for your tournaments. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say because, okay, so you have this over here. Let's go ahead, sort by approach. That's around the green. So approach, here you go, top to bottom. Once again, when we look at the numbers over on the left side, you know that's birdie or better. So if they fall inside that 35 range, I like them. So again, take a snapshot. Jim Furyk at the top. Chesson Hadley's up here. Nick Watney, Gary Woodland. That's a scary bucket combination, but still, you know, top of the list. Russell Knox, 49th. Is that good enough? Maybe. Could be. But here you go. That, again, take a screenshot. Bermuda. Let's go with Bermuda. So here are your top guys in Bermuda. Matthew Wolff and Victor Hovland both have very small sample sizes. So take that into consideration because I usually exclude rounds, you know, events under 4. Because I don't think it's enough events to actually have a clear idea of how well these guys are on the surface. In fact, like Matthew Wolff has an 11 for 2020 Bermuda stats, or an average of 11th place, but he hasn't been inside the top 10. So obviously that means he's probably only played at one tournament in 2020. That was probably the Sanderson Farms Championship, which has a very, very, very weak field. Take that into consideration. But I still like these golfers, and I will still think about playing them. So again, this is Bermuda top to bottom. Sungjae and Ricky are on my thumbnail because of this. Both great Bermuda golfers, great with birdie or better, and I think they're also very good with approach. So yeah, they're kind of in the middle. Ricky would be in the middle. Sungjae would be really good. So again, those are my two favorite golfers this week. But again, take a screenshot of this, see all the golfers, look at the birdie or better, Gary Woodland, that kind of thing. Denny McCarthy might be my favorite last year too. And we do want to play quite a bit of last year twos because we've seen it. If I were to go back to the notes page, I don't think I actually showed this part of it, but I usually like to first start last year top fives and look to see at my range. I want to look at the min max, how the minimum amount of times that it's happened and the maximum amount of times it's happened. And for the last year ones, inside the top fives happened minimum of 1 time, maximum of 4 times. For last year 2, minimum of 1 time, maximum of 3. It only gets scary when you see zeros. You know, zeros are really the odd, you know, like that's the variance. That's the pump the brakes, don't play those. But this right here, very consistent. And then when we come down here and look at even top 10, so the 2s change a little bit. Then I should say that the ones, what's the word? Widen the gap between how often it's happened and the frequency of it, because now the max turns to 5, which has happened 3 times, 4, which happens twice, and 3, it happens once, as opposed to the last year 2s. You see 1 in there twice, so that did not change from the top 5, which means it's not as consistent as the last year 1. But either way, last year 2s, something we want to look at. That's why I like Denny McCarthy, especially being a good Bermuda golfer, being having the second most birdies in the field, like birdie or better percentage in the field. That's huge. So he is a last year 2 that I like quite a bit. But either way, so that's Bermuda. We already looked at approach. We kind of looked at all this. Now let's start constructing lineups. I don't think I have anything else to say. Oh, I do. Tee times. I like to also look at tee times. We kind of went through the weather, and you got to see, we kind of want to favor golfers that are in the afternoon as opposed to those that are in the morning. But what I will do this really quickly is look at these tee times and try to find anyone that has, you know, a bunch of, let's just look for column L to be populated. and especially with good numbers. So if like this one right here, Byung-Hun An, Zin Junjiang, Eric Van Rooyen, very good group, very good birdie or better makers. These guys could play off each other. So that's what I'm getting at. This actually would be a pretty good group to add together, to play together. See if we can find anything else. So Victor Hovland, here's a good group. Hovland, Ricky Fowler, Joaquin Niemann. This is just another good reason to like Ricky, is he's playing in a good group that they can all play off of each other. They can make a lot of birdies for sure. It's a very high powered team. So I would keep that in mind. This one, not so bad. Like I feel like these three golfers play all the time together. I'm sure they're good friends, or some of them might be. I would consider that. Again, coming down here, Billy Horschels with Tommy Fleetwood and Justin Rose. Rose does not have any stats, so it's hard to determine that birdie or better percentage. Fleetwood's at that 54 mark, probably a little outside, but all in all, that group is really good, and I think pairing one or two of these golfers together, I shouldn't say one or two, 2 or 3 of these, golfers together would be totally fine. Yeah, I would definitely keep that in mind. I think Brooks Koepka is down here somewhere, and he does not have stats for, Brooks is in a group with Keith Mitchell and Matthew Wolff, which isn't bad, but it's really difficult to determine, how well these guys are actually going to be playing together, because Matthew Wolff and Brooks Koepka just haven't played enough events to have stats for. Actually, that's not true. Matthew Wolff does, and he does not have good birdie or better stats for coming into this tournament. But yeah, here's another good group. Woodland and Oosthuizen. I think that's a good pairing you could put together. I don't know how often that's going to actually be made. Russell Knox, Corey Connors, not bad. I do like Daniel Berger. Obviously, these two golfers don't have very good birdie or better stats, but you could also, and not really good Bermuda stats either. So maybe not a very good group to play. But yeah, again, as I scroll through this, pause, screenshot, all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to talk about everybody, but just want to let you guys know what I think about some of these guys. Okay. So that's basically your tee time. And again, we want to focus on, I guess we could do it this way, the afternoon tee times. So I would definitely grab, well, we can go by salary. So your top guy, really Brooks Koepka in the afternoon. Definitely probably want to go with him or Gary Woodland, and then pair him up with whoever he's playing with. Obviously, Gary Woodland's playing with Louis Oosthuizen. Brooks is playing with Matthew Wolff and Keith Mitchell, which I'm not a huge fan of Keith Mitchell this week. Matthew Wolff, sure, maybe. But here you go. Here are all your afternoon tee times, which I think it's not bad to think about playing some of these guys and trying to create a lineup off of them, especially if you can find some good birdie or better golfers like JT Poston. And it's Poston, not Poston, for those that keep calling him Poston. Put it this way, I'm not gonna create. I've heard this strategy before, but I'm not about it. Where you create a full lineup, 6 of 6 that have afternoon tee times, or 6 of 6 that have morning tee times to try to get an edge. It worked one year or one tournament, which obviously, sure, you can win a lot of money just off of one tournament. I'm gonna take that back now. I think it's a good idea. At least having at least one. If I'm creating 40 or 50 lineups, if I create one that's all morning and one that's all afternoon with how I'm creating lineups, I think that's fine. Okay. Let's go ahead and start creating some lineups. I didn't quite get to the 40-minute mark, but it was pretty close. So I'm going to explain this right now. This is my expectation for these buckets, or the last year bucket to finish, or this is my expectation. It's not even so much. It's my confidence of how much I think each of these last year buckets are going to do. As you might recall, what we went over in the notes, we saw a last year one every single inside the top 5 every single year. So what I did is I looked at, that's a good way to do this. I should have known to do this. Basically, I look at all the ones, and here, it's better to do it this way. Look at all of the ones, go ahead and sort them by price up, top to bottom. If I look throughout all these golfers, how confident do I think one of these guys is going to finish inside the top 10? I mean, obviously we have 5 golfers above 9,000. We can even open the odds up to look at how good some of these golfers are based off of odds, or how good they're based off of official World Golf Ranking. Long story short, I think we're going to see a last year one inside the top 10. And another thing that I kind of did that I forgot to go over is I recorded how often, like the count of, here, let me just pull it up. So I kind of already constructed a video and did not like it, so I kind of recreated one. But here is all of the bucket combinations that have numbers in them, or relevant numbers. Look at how many times you see a last year one. I mean, you see it up here so many times. And if I were to open this back up to everybody, that way you can see all of them up here. If I went and counted all the last year ones that are up here. So this is your field right here. All of these golfers, there's 144 numbers right there. 24 of those golfers fit in that last year one, last week one bucket. That bucket has found the top 10 83% of the time. 83% of the last 6 tournaments, which is obviously 5 out of 6. What's the likelihood of that going to happen again? I want to show you this because I want to give you a confidence number, just based off of volume alone. I think the answer is yes. As opposed to, like, if we went down here and looked at what's a good one? Even like 50 or 66%. So this bucket has finished inside the top 10 66% of the time, but there are only 2 golfers that are in that bucket combination. How likely is that going to happen? It's actually a funny story behind this. Me and a buddy, we went through all the different recent forms, and I'm not going to show you, but I'll tell you. The 2 4s happened in 2019, 2018, and 2016. In 2014? Sorry, I totally forgot, but I knew it was 2019, 2-4, 2-4, 2016, where is it? 2-4, and then it must happen in 2014. Yeah, 2-4. So when I looked at all of these years, there were exactly 4 golfers in this bucket combination. This was Ricky Fowler. So in 2019, there were 4 golfers that had a 2-4 bucket combination. One of them finished inside top 10. 2018, there were 4 golfers. One of them finished inside top 10. I think it was Russell Henley. Right. Oh no, Jamie Lovemark. This was Jamie Lovemark. 2-4 here. This was Scott Brown. He finished 10th place. There were 5 in that bucket combination. And then here in 2014, there were 4 in this bucket combination. So the bucket combination and the likelihood of finding the top 10 is pretty darn good, honestly, if you want to look at it that way. So we could look at what was I on this page right here? Yeah. So we could look at this. There's only 2 golfers in that bucket combination. We could be okay with it. I will show you who those golfers are. You have Kiradech, Affy Barnrat, and Robert Streb, which our Affy Barnrat, nickname Arm, he was on the Gravy and Sleaze show. Oh my god, that was good. It was their show. I forget what's Subpar. I think it's called Subpar. He is quite the character. Definitely, he's going to be a favorite of a lot of people. But I wouldn't say so much for this tournament. But he's a fun guy to watch. And he likes the Arnold Palmer Invitational. So keep an eye out for him there. Maybe he just likes Florida events in general. Maybe he's worth playing. I don't know. But Robert Streb, I don't think so. I'm not going to play Robert Streb. Definitely not a guy that I I care to play. Let's put it that way. Okay, so I just wanted to show you what that bucket combination was, and kind of the idea of selecting bucket combinations and having kind of a confidence in playing them. But seeing a last year one, if we were to count how many times that was, so if I do kind of a count function here, and usually you can't see it because my big head's in the way. If I went down and I counted, can I even show you if I try to move out of the way? No, I can't. There's 65. 65 golfers that fall under that last year one bucket. That's nearly half the field. I think the likelihood of a last year one finishing inside the top 10, pretty good. So that's why I have 100% of my lineups going to have a last year one. But it doesn't end there. I basically, okay, I calculated all of this. So we saw last year two in 100% of the last six last 6 years. A last year two has finished inside the top 10 at least once. That would be another 100%, but I'm not that confident. So 6 out of 6, obviously, that's 100. I don't think it's going to be 7 out of 7. I think it's going to be 6 out of 7 times, which is going to get us 85. 85 times 50 is 42. So I have, and I know you can round up, but I have 42 lineups dedicated to last year twos because I am not that confident, and I will show you the player pool why I'm not that confident. So these are all your twos, and it's by salary. So Luke List and Emiliano Grillo are your top two golfers that are last year twos. I'm not that confident in playing last year twos. So like look at the rest of the group. It's just not that inviting. Sure, there are golfers that I think in this group have the potential to make you a winning lineup. My favorite, Denny McCarthy. Primarily because his Bermuda stats are fantastic. He's the second ranked birdie or better golfer in the field. I don't really quite know what his approach stat is. It's not good. It's in the negative. He's obviously one of the best putters, but I think we can get away with approach. I don't think we necessarily need it. And let's look for some validation. In the top 10, do we see anyone that has a dark red approach score? Wyndham Clark. I don't know what Wyndham Clark's actual stats were. Maybe I do. I can go here and look for it. That's green and reg. Let's go ahead and find him here. Okay, so approach was -7. It's -0.77. So that's our validation for the 2019. What was Denny McCarthy? He's better. -0.21. So I think we could play Denny McCarthy based off of, somebody last year, and it was really just one guy, right? That's the thing we also have to keep in mind. One guy. Actually, if we looked up Harris English or Ryan Armour, so they're going to be just a little bit better. Ryan Armour and Harris English. Oh, come on. Actually, it was by ranking. What was the ranking? It was like 123, right? It's got to be somewhere in here. Harris English. So approach was, there you go. Approach, this is the exact same number, basically, that Denny McCarthy's at right now. So that minus 0.2. So hey, we had a few golfers actually, not just one. But anyways, he'd be my favorite too. Long story short, I'm not that confident playing last year twos. Last year threes, a little bit better if we were to go by price on down. There's quite a few more golfers here that are 8,000 or above. Really topped by Brooks and Ricky, which I like both of those golfers quite a bit. The amount of times that a last year 3 has finished inside the top 10 or even the top 5. Again, I like to go by top 5 just for a consistency number, and I can scroll all the way over here and just use this as your top 5. Obviously, we have this here and all of this down here, which I'm not really going to count. Shoot, did the wrong button. I can do something like this and feel okay doing this, or even like just your top 6, whatever. How often do we see a 3? We see one in 2019, we see one in 2017, we see 2 in 2015, we see 1 in, so 66%. Well, with the golfers that are in that, in this pool, basically what I am thinking here is instead of 4 out of 6 years, that's going to change to 5 out of 7, which is 71%. So times 50, that'll give us 35.7. I rounded up for this one because I really like that. I really liked that group. So you can see there's 14 right here, and that goes. So I did that for every group and so on. So if I liked one more than another, I either added to it, I did that percentage above, or I did the percentage below if I didn't like it. So that's what all of these here, that's what they represent. Now, I also, I do have to mention this. I look at how many times it's happened in multiple times. So in 2019, you see a last year one happened twice. You see a last year one happened 4 times in 2018, 2017 twice, 2016 once, 2015 twice, 2014 twice. So 80% of the time, it's happened twice. How likely is it going to happen? Now, I don't like the ones all that much. So what I'm going to do is instead of 5 out of 6, it's going to, or 6 out of 7, it's going to be 5 out of 7. So that's 71%. Again, we already had this number. We can come up here and look. It's right here. So 35. Again, 36. What I'm ultimately going to do is count this all the way down to 36. It's just going to actually get us right to there. So I can do that there, but I don't have to. I can wait. I don't have to like try to figure out how many, you know, like I do know I want 7 lineups that are going to have at least 4 last year ones. So I could do something like this. And that's just based off the percentages that I was just talking about. But I'm not going to do that yet. I'm going to keep this open as it is right now. Find our golfers to fit these and then go from there. Because I basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fill in the cracks with last year ones, essentially. So let's go ahead. Well, you know what I want to do for you guys, since you guys are all watching, we already went through the 3s. Like you can see all the good 3s. And you know what I should do? Here you go. Here are your last year 3s. Again, you have Brooks, Charles, Russell Henley down here. That don't have, well, Russell Henley would, but you have Brooks and Charles that do not have stats. But here are your top birdie or better golfers. You can see the Bermuda over here. So again, take a screenshot. I'm going to go ahead, go to the 2s, have you look at the 2s. Denny McCarthy up top, Brian Harmon, Brendan Steele, Adam Long, Tom Hoagie. We'll go ahead and go through the 1s. A few more 1s, and actually quite a good chunk of 1s. So likelihood of one of these guys finishing in top 10, probably pretty good. So keep that in mind. Let's go ahead and go to the 4s. You can see what the 4s are real fast, and actually it's a pretty good number. Your number 1 birdie or better guy, Bronson Burgoon. Definitely worth a consideration. But if we went by salary with these guys, Sung Jae's at the top with Joaquin Neiman right next to him. But all of these guys, except for Cameron Davis, have a good birdie or better percentage. So I think the 4s are a good group here, and it's pretty condensed. So you can find 1 or 2 golfers from this and play them essentially, well, 83% of your lineups. That's your top 10 number. I think top 5, it's only happened 50% of the time, I want to say. Or, no, maybe less than that. Either way, I'm not going to get into it right now. Enough going back and forth. Here are your 5s. Streelman is at the top. Sam Burns, Stuart Sink. Not a very good group. You can see 3 birdie guys there. The 6s are a bit more interesting. Because Gary Woodland is at the top, followed by Daniel Berger, Byung-Hun An, JT Poston, and then your other birdie guys down here, Danny Lee and Matt Jones. I don't like a lot of these golfers except for Woodland, Berger, and Ann. But I think those 3 golfers can get the 6s back inside the top 10 for another year to consider. But you could take the opposite approach and say, well, fine. If they're a 6, then I don't want to play them. Totally fine. But yes, there you go. There are all the buckets, all the last year buckets. Again, I'm not really using the combinations this week because it fluctuates so much. I am just kind of strictly going by. I will use the buckets, but mostly in my head. I'm just not gonna, share or tell you which ones you should use. Okay, so 10 minutes basically. I'm gonna try to keep this at an hour long. 10 minutes to create a lineup. I am just gonna go ahead, clear this, and just put the 1s. And then what I want to do is, okay, we have it sorted by salary, which is what I want, and then I want it like this. I'm gonna go ahead and put these golfers first because there's no stats for them, so I'm gonna put them up here. And then I'm going to select all of these. I know Tommy Fleetwood is in there. He's at the bottom of the list because his birdie or better is not good. But I'm going to start with Tommy Fleetwood. Throw him up here. I like Tommy Fleetwood, but because his birdie or better is not that great, I'm not going to play him in all that often. I'm making 50 lineups. In 50 lineups, I am going to play him 5 times. That's 10%. 10% of my lineups, I'm going to have Tommy Fleetwood, and that's it. I'm not going to put him any more than that. Now that I say that, I'm going to change my mind. I don't want just a clean 10%. I'm going to put him in 8 lineups, and that way it'll be somewhere between 10 and 20, which is totally fine. But I'm not going to play him in a lot. That's totally cool with me. I'm okay with that. Justin Rose, on the other hand, I will play him in 10 lineups. So right off the gate, I have 18 positions filled, basically. I don't like Shane Lowry at all, but he fits the last year 1. That means the possibility of him finishing inside the top 10 are good. Eric Van Rooyen, I like a little bit. I'm just going to put him in 4 lineups. Again, this is just me off the top of my head. I know I have 50 lineups I'm creating. I'm just going to play these guys in X amount of lineups. I know Louis, and actually if I were to go back and just go by salary, I kind of want to go this way. Okay, so I see Louis. I like Louis. I'm going to actually put him in like 7 or 8 lineups. There's 7. Totally cool with that. So now I have 19 left. I want to make sure that the salaries are still pretty high. So Victor Hovland, I'm probably going to put in 7 to 8. Whatever that. Okay, that's 7. Again, this is just kind of, there's really no rhyme or reason. I think Justin Rose I can play in more than that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that down here. I'm going to play him in 12 lineups total. So now 9 positions available. What I'm just going to do is I do want to put some Poulter by himself. I was thinking of just adding a bunch. So Poulter's in 5 by himself. Westwood. Honors and Westwood. Sure. Those are just really the last guys. So I can put them twice. There we go. Eventually what I'm going to do is fill out the rest of these guys now, which I can do that. That's fine. Here is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do a count if function really quick. Just to see how many times I've played some of these guys. And then sort it. So now I can see who I have not yet played and how much I've played of some of these guys and determine that later on down the road. Yeah, that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and just toss it down here, right here. That's fine. But I'm going to clear this out because now I'm going to put the last year 2s here. I guess these two guys being as expensive as they are, I want them at the top. Because that's going to help me. So then I'll do this and not, there we go. Perfect. This is kind of how I wanted it. So now I know that this is Birdie or better. Where is my guy, Denny McCarthy? I do not want to miss out on Denny McCarthy. And then this one is going to be Emiliano Grillo. Okay, so here we go. I know that was kind of weird for some of you guys, but I think you probably understand why I did it that way. So now here are all my last year twos. I have a total of 22 last year twos, and I have 42 positions available for last year twos. I am right away starting with Denny McCarthy, and I am playing Denny McCarthy in, we're gonna go with 12. It's a conservative number for me. I was just thinking about doing 15, but we'll do 12. And really 12, what is that? 12 divided by 50, 17% of my lineups. No, it's not. I was like, that's not true. That's not. I don't know what happened there. 12, 24% of my lineups. Okay, totally fine with that. I like that. 24%. Okay, good enough for me. So I might as well do the same thing. Oh, wrong. My bad. Wasting your guys' time. Jeez, what the hell? Okay, so there we go. We have Denny McCarthy now. Luke List. So 12 out of 42. That bring it down to 28. How many golfers do I have in this group? 22 total. I am going to play more than one last year two in my lineup, so I know I have room to add some of these guys down here. But I like Luke List. I don't like him all that much, so I'm going to play him in 4 lineups. Yeah. I'm not going to get burned by Luke List. Emiliano Grillo, I'm playing 4. I'm not going to get burned by him. Harmon, I'm going to play a little bit more of. I put him in 7. Steele, I will put in 4. I don't really care for him, but he is kind of a better golfer to choose from. Now it gets kind of hairy. Like, now I really don't know who to choose from. Yeah. So now what I would do is just kind of go by Bermuda. Grillo, Walker, and Kirk, and Effie Barnrat. Sure. Kyle Stanley had a good showing last week. Maybe he'll show up again. What I'm actually going to do is paste this a couple times. There. I'm cool with doing it this way. So now we can see the same thing for these golfers. And I think what I can do is copy and paste. Let's see. I think I can go right here and not touch. 3 more down from there. There you go. It's fine. So go ahead, hide this, because now we're going to go to our 3s. Again, I want to go by salary. Actually, I want to go salary and then this, because I want to put these guys up at top. I'm pretty sure Russell Henley has stats. Yeah, he has stats. So I'm going to put those guys up at the top, the tippity top. And then put these guys next. And then followed up with the rest of these guys. Perfect. Again, I guess I'll do the count diff so you guys can see. So we're going to start out right with Brooks, and I'm playing Brooks in 10. At least 10. Okay, we'll put him in 9. 9's a good number for me. We'll have 9. Schwartzel, I'm not sure how I feel. I really like Ricky. I think I'm going to play Ricky in about 15. And when I say it, I mean 12. Schwartzel, sure. Play him 4 times. Hadley, I'll play 5 to 6 times, maybe. That's 6. Palmer, I like. Oh, I really like Furyk. All right, we're gonna change this up a little bit. Furyk is one of my favorite golfers, and so is Horschel. Oh my goodness. All right. We're gonna put Horschel here first. Dang it. Horschel 6 times. And then I'm gonna round it out with Furyk. So basically I'm gonna put another last year 3 somewhere in here. They're gonna round out my numbers, but yeah, I'm not done with this range. That's just kind of off the top of my head. I can always come back to here and look at my birdie or better guys. So Chesson, I like. Ryan Palmer, I like. So I do want to play Ryan Palmer. But if I was playing a limited amount of lineups, maybe I just go, okay, I'm just sticking with Ricky Fowler, or I'm sticking with Chesson Hadley. Especially when if I were to open this up to everyone and we go by down the line like this, I could easily do something like this. So I'll create a lineup just for you guys to see what it looks like. We'll go underneath the 50. So here's our number 1 golfer for birdie or better. I like that. His Bermuda's not great, but if we went and looked for a good Bermuda guy, okay, Ricky and Denny McCarthy, why not? Actually, let's start out that way. Let's go Ricky, Denny. Look for some more. Oh, we want Sung Jae. I do like Sung Jae. And then well, fine. Let's go with Chesson. Although I'm actually going to look for a last year 1, so why not go with McNeely? Go with McNeely. It could go with Louis or Victor Hovland. Do we go with Louis? What does Louis do on our lineup, on our team? 65? I don't think so. So McNeely it is. And I'm also paying attention to recent form average. So Chesson doesn't have a good one. Burgoon doesn't have a good one. I already have 1 last year 4 on my team. I don't think I want that. I'll actually show you a different way, like an opposite way of, like a different type of pivot. So what do I have left with McNeely? So 76.5. Again, it's the top 30, so I want to find some golfers down here, I'm sure. Billy Ho. No. This is actually a bit more difficult than I thought. I guess we can go with Furyk. Sure. I probably want to find another last year 1 that's decent down here. Can I play Corey Connors? Does that allow me to? 82? Dang. Oh, perfect. Right on the button. Here's your winning lineup. There you go. I knew it. But that's how I would follow the bucket system. Now, here's a different approach. So instead of Ricky Fowler, I can go with Billy Horschel. I do like Denny McCarthy, but instead of Sung J M, we can go with our top-ranked birdie or better golfer and go with Bronson Burgoon. And then for this green color here, since we couldn't reach Louis Oosthuizen, we can go ahead and pivot to there and not get another yellow golfer, because having multiple yellow golfers doesn't show up all that often. Maybe I could throw in a McNeely here. And now I have 9,800 to choose from. As I go down here, I could go with like a Victor Hovland. And there we go. Now I have 3 dark greens and the rest of the colors that finish that out. A lot of this, you can apply this so many different ways. You know, we could start out with woodland, and chestnut can be our yellow. You know, like we can do a lot of this differently, especially if we really do like some of these golfers. Maybe I just throw Corey Connors there. But anyways, I would probably be more looking at Bermuda stats, recent form averages. Like I like that. Palmer would be actually a good one to choose from. Go ahead and throw Harmon at $7,300. That might be stealing. Brian Harmon. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. So what did I have left over? 8,100. So we can find someone like around 79, 76. We already have McNeely there. Oh, we can throw McNeely. So if we like McNeely that much, there you go. It's another way. So that's another way to pivot. We can also add Brooks to this since we didn't see him at the top of the, you know, actually I'm going to keep these here because I kind of like them. But anyways, so now I can go ahead and grab my, you know, orange golfers, the last year 4s, and do the exact same thing. So what I'm going to end up doing is essentially I'm going to go ahead and randomize this range. This is one of the wonderful features on Google Sheets. You can select all of the ranges that you want to choose from, even the blank spaces, and go ahead and randomize the range, because then it will randomize even here. So now the blanks just show up at random spots. Again, we can do it here. I can do it here. So I can find, you know, these golfers once I put them there. And then once I do all of this, there are times I want to have 4 last year 1s on my lineup. So what I can do is, after, just pretend there's names within these. Now I have all these gapped areas that I can, you know, think of constructing lineups with. Obviously I want to keep the salary in mind over here, but basically I could start carving out what I want to do, like game plan wise. So I know based off of the numbers, I want to have 7 lineups, because that ends up being 14%, that have 4 last year 1s on it. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's 5. We can do that here. Sure, we can do 6 here. And then how about here? We'll do 7 there. So there's my 7 last year 4s. Now, last year, okay, not last year 4s. Those are 4 last year 1 lineups. So you can see I have 4 dark green colors. I want somewhere between 1 to 3 last year 2s. So that's your light green color. I could go ahead and you know, put 3 here as many times as I need to. And then also, I shouldn't even gone that far yet. Last year 1s, I'm not done with that, because I want to put last year 1s at least twice. I want to put them at least twice in 80. I think. Wait, I'm trying to do the math. Can't remember. So if I were to go down, scroll to the top 5 and look at this, how many times do we see a last year 1 multiple times? I'm going to count this. So you see it here. So you see it twice in 2019, 4 times in 2018, 2017 we see it twice, only once since 2016, but every other one we've seen at least twice. So that is 5 out of 6 years. That is 83%. Is the likelihood going to be that high this time? Probably not. So I would bump it down to 71%. So 71% of 50 is 35.5. So basically 36. What I'm going to be doing is finding 36 lineups that I can add that dark green color to. And I'm just doing this fast for you guys. I'm probably going to put a little bit more thought into it. So right there, that's 24. So I need to add it 12. Here's 25. 26. There's 35. And then there you go. So I have all of my dark greens. So now I just have to fill in some of these other spots as well. And that's how I'm going to start. That's how I'll create these lineups, is based off of that. It's all based off of numbers. It's all based off of expectations of those buckets finishing inside the top 10. And then I just put players there. That way for me, it's not so much who the player is, it's the type of player. It's the, you know, the frequency of that bucket combination finishing inside the top 10. And then attaching a player that is in that bucket combination and putting them in your lineups. So hopefully I enticed you all the way to here. It's already running long. It's an hour, 10 minutes. So I'm just going to go ahead, post this on YouTube. I didn't quite get to finish my lineups. In all honesty, I should have been looking at this yesterday and getting a sense of who I was going to put in these lineups and kind of giving you an idea, but I think I kind of did. And again, you could go ahead and go to any part of this video and pause. We went through every single bucket, like last year bucket. And so you could pause and basically, based off of my strategy, copy what I'm doing. You're just not going to copy the same players, which is totally fine. But this is my construction. You know, I am going to construct lineups based off of this strategy. I didn't quite get there. You can obviously see I'm still holding on to these pools here, and I'm going to be adding them. So like, I could easily do something like this. That kind of covered too much, but let's do something like that. So I can throw that there. And now I have one of those golfers, which now it's not showing. Oh, that's because the count is only in column D. Okay. Either way, I know how to do the count if for a range. I can certainly do that. Not a big deal. But yes, this is how I will be doing my lineups. And this is how I'm going to get my variance down. This is how I find variance, is based off of the bucket combination. And it's my goal to find the optimal lineup, and I'm going to continue digging because there are, to me, I hate the word variance. There's got to be a way to detect variance. Golf is a hard sport, but it's also easy. Honestly, it is. And I think if we find some kind of identifier, we're going to be able to find players other people aren't going to be on, that probably have a higher chance of success, or that will add the glue to an optimal lineup, basically. All right, that's enough of me talking. Thank you for watching. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will see you in the review video. All right, bye.